What's up, guys? Welcome to a new episode of the Guru Podcast. My name is Christian the Guru. We got a lot to talk about, so let's get it.
Have you ever met someone and thought, oh my God, this guy thinks he knows everything. He can't shut up about how right he is all the time. You know, that guy. Well, that guy hosts this podcast. So if that's going to be a source of tension for you, you can skip on over to the poetry reading podcast or some shit. Welcome to the Guru. Unapologetic and unfiltered opinions on the hottest sports stories. The Guru breaks down everything from basketball and football to soccer and UFC with a perspective you won't find anywhere else. He's been watching these sports his entire life, and he has a deep understanding that sets him apart from the mainstream media. He'll inform you, challenge your views, and make you see things differently. And oh yeah, he's always right. Just ask him. This is the Guru.
So I'm not sure if you guys have been keeping up with the U.S. women basketball team in the Olympics. I wouldn't blame you if you did it. They played Japan today in a very horrible game. It was 102-76. Complete domination. The U.S. won. A'ja Wilson did what she always does. She dominated with 24 points and a lot of rebounds. Diana Taurasi was out there running around doing cardio. I'm not even sure why I'm telling you guys all this because nobody actually watched this game. The only people who watch these games are ex-WNBA players and their mama. Nobody actually sat on the couch for 4 hours to watch this. Don Staley, you're the head coach of this team and you're pathetic. You need to get fired. You're incompetent. You were once a player. You've been a coach for too long to not understand the notion of supply and demand. What you're supplying, we're not demanding. We didn't care about this game because the players that you actually pick, we don't care. We don't care about A'ja Wilson. We don't care about Kelsey Plum. We don't care about Anthony Davis' ex-girlfriend. We want to see Caitlin Clark and Angela Reese. Is that hard to understand? The record that they're breaking in the WNBA, is that not enough for you to understand that they're important, that they matter? I want to see Caitlin Clark shoot threes from the logo. I want to see Caitlin Clark make fancy passes. I want to see Angela Reese try to do one of her Kwame Brown post moves. I want to see her smoke 5 layups and get her own rebounds. That's what I want to see. We don't want to see the rest of these players. I don't understand it. And you'll finally realize it, and now you apologize. It's too late. You need to get fired because you're incompetent. She basically apologized. She said that Caitlin Clark should have made the league, or she should have made the team, that it was a mistake. Of course it was a mistake. I could have told you that. Even if she didn't deserve to be on the team because of her stats, economically, she deserved it. You know what she was doing? You know what she did before she got to the league that you guys couldn't do in the league? You couldn't sell out arenas. She was selling out arenas in college. It's pathetic. You coached a team that was dominant, undefeated. You coached South Carolina. Nobody talked about you guys. That wasn't enough indication that maybe the business side of things is important? My goodness. You guys played against a bunch of girls who look like high school girls. At least if Angel Reese would have played, she would have been talking trash. She would have told somebody that she's not built like that. She would have tried to do one of her post moves on that 7'5" Chinese girl that we've been seeing on social media. I'm not sure if that girl is playing, but it would have been fun. This is pathetic. Life isn't fair. If you want about making people sensitive, people getting emotional because they didn't make it over Caitlin Clark, who cares? Life is not fair and will never be fair. Bronny James is in the NBA. He doesn't deserve it. I could have did what he does. I could have passed the ball and shot bricks and run to the corner. But my name is not James. I understand that. It is what it is. Money matters. So this past weekend, the Miami Dolphins signed Tua to a 4 years, $212 million contract with about $93 million guaranteed, which is about 44%, 45-ish% of his contract, which is not a lot. Because if you compare that to guys like Jordan Love and Herbert, Jordan Love got 140. He just got that right after Tua. Herbert got 133. So some of these new guys are getting at least 120 and up. And he didn't even get to 100 million. He got 193, which is not a lot. And it makes sense for Miami to do that. They have to protect themselves because he has a history of getting hurt. He gets concussed a lot. He's small. He's tiny. And they put in a bunch of incentives just in case he wins, which he never will. But just in case he somehow gets lucky and wins, they got $1 million incentive. He gets to get to the Super Bowl. They're probably not going to, but that's what they put in the contract. Have you ever been in a relationship for a girl for a long time? 6, 7 years? It's not perfect, but you know her flaws, you know how she works. You know her cooking is not good. You know her cooking is so bad that flies don't even want to fly over her food. But it's a girl that you know how to deal with her. And this is exactly what happened with the Dolphins. They know who the devil is. They know how to deal with him. They know what he got. And they're like, why try to go find something else that's not guaranteed to be better? And this is a good contract for the Miami Dolphins. The past ever since Dan Marino left, they've had pathetic QB play. I mean, they had Ryan Tannehill. He kind of steadied the ship a little bit. They made it to before Tua, the last time they made it to the playoff was in 2018 or 16, I believe. Before that, the last time they made it to the playoff was in 2008. That's a long time. 2008? That's when some of y'all goofy was still jerking in high school. Some of y'all was still taking bathroom pictures, bathroom selfies, and posting it on Facebook. That's how long it's been. So the Miami Dolphins looked at that. They're like, well, we know he's small. We know he got a plastic arm. He can't throw the ball deep. We know he can't win in cold weather. We know he's never going to win the Super Bowl. He can barely see over defenders. He look like, when he's out there, he look like he hasn't hit puberty. We know that. But at least you need a good QB in this league. You need slightly above average QB play in order to survive. They looked at it, they're like, well, at least with Tua, we're going to be relevant. We're always going to be in the playoff mix. Some goofy analysts will probably think we'll make it to the Super Bowl, which we'll never will. But at least we get to be relevant. We get to win games. We get to win 8 to 9 games. We get to sell tickets. Sometimes it's not always about winning the Super Bowl. Not everybody can win the Super Bowl. Sometimes it's just about being relevant. And that's what the Miami Dolphins did. It's a great decision. And it's like being rich and getting a girl who works at Walmart pregnant. You know, if you leave her, you get hit with a child support. So you might as well wife. And that's what the Dolphins did. They're like, no, we don't want to try that. We don't want that smoke. We wife it. Great decisions from the Dolphins. They're not going to win the Super Bowl, but they'll be competitive. NBA is powered by stars. Stars bring people in. Stars make people want to watch the game. And the more people watch the game, the more money come in. And now that the game is global, they're always looking for global stars too. You get a guy from France who becomes a star. A lot of French people watch the game. You get somebody from Asia, like a Yao Ming. You get people from Asia watching the game more. That's why they wanted Jeremy Lin to become a star. That didn't work because Jeremy Lin wasn't really that talented. I think D'Antoni's scheme was helping him more than his talent. And for quite some time, the NBA hasn't had a white star. They've been looking for a white star for quite some time. The last one they had was Larry Bird. And they haven't been able to replace it. And in the quest to try to find that white star, they've been telling us a lot of lies. They try to tell us Adam Morrison was going to be a star. They try to tell us Jimmer was going to be a star. I get it. The league would do really well having a couple white stars. I understand it. You haven't been able to replace Larry Bird. It's understandable. But stop lying to us. Telling us that Reed Sheppard is going to be the next Steph. Saying that Reed Sheppard is going to be the next Steph should land you at least in jail, and you should spend at least a couple of days in jail because that's just pathetic. Reed Sheppard is going to be the next Steph, maybe in Pluto or in Jupiter. I watched the kid. He's a good player. He has a good feel for the game. He has a good vision. He can shoot the ball. I understand that. Just because somebody is small and can shoot doesn't mean they're Stephen Curry. Just because I'm dark doesn't mean I'm from Sudan. Come on, man. The kid doesn't have Stephen Curry's range. The kid doesn't have Stephen Curry's off the ball movement. I don't quite think he can shoot the ball like Stephen Curry. He's going to be Stephen Curry? I think it's nonsense. What that kid needs to worry about is his minutes. Because the Rockets are kind of loaded at the guard position. They got Van Fleet. They got Jalen Green, the kid dating a girl who could be his mama. They're loaded. So I don't even know if he's going to have playing time. He's kind of small. I'm not sure how good of a defender he's going to be. He's not very athletic. He doesn't have a lot of size. So I'm not sure how good of a defender he's going to be. But he's going to have to find a way to get minutes. And it's not going to be easy playing under a coach that embodies defense. He preaches defense. That's his bread and butter. So I'm not sure how much playing time he's going to play, but stop with this Stephen Curry comparison. It's pathetic. Could he be the best player in the draft? Sure, he could be. But we knew all along this draft was trash. Yeah, Richardson and Sarr, they're garbage. Richardson can only shoot, and Sarr, I'm not even sure what he's good at. I'm sure he's probably going to be a good defender. He's going to be a good rebounder. As far as offense goes, his left hand was pathetic. He was breaking. I'm not sure why he was good at. I mean, I could see the moves. I could see a little bit of potential, but being the best player in this draft doesn't mean anything. And having a good summer league doesn't mean anything either. We've seen a lot of guys light up the summer league and end up being bust. Jared Bayless. If you guys don't remember Jared Bayless was a bucket. In 2008, he averaged 29 points. And we all thought Jared Bayless was going to be a star. The man averaged 8 points his whole career. Marco Bellinelli. Y'all remember Marco Bellinelli? In the summer league, the man was a bucket. He averaged 9 points his whole career. He wasn't a bad player, but they weren't stars. And I'm not saying Reed Sheppard is going to be a bad player. He's just not going to be a star. In reality, the real problem is white Americans just don't pan out at the NBA. They just don't. They don't pan out. It's not that they don't have talent. It's that they lack athleticism. They lack that elite athleticism that gets you to the next level. They come from AAU basketball. The AAU farming system focuses too much on athleticism. How high you can jump, how fast you can run. They don't practice enough. A lot of one-on-one. So guys don't get to hone their skills a lot of time. And so black players a lot of time when they get to the league, even when they haven't honed their skills enough, they're athletic enough that they can overcome that limitation. White Americans can't do that. It's different from guys like Jokic and Luka who come from the European system where they've been playing professional since the age of 14, 15. They don't focus too much on athleticism. They run a lot of set plays. They teach you how to use angles, how to accelerate, decelerate, how to use your body. In AU basketball, they don't do that. And so a lot of European guys, even when they're not athletic, they're able to overcome that with craftiness. White Americans just haven't been able to overcome that yet. And that's why you're seeing a lot of them have good high school careers, good college careers. We've seen Tyler Hansbrough. We've seen Jimmy Fredette. We've seen the new coach from the Lakers. Even Reed has had a good college career. He shot, 50% from threes? But when they get to the pro, when it's the best of the best, the guy who can jump the fastest, who can run the fastest, the guy who can jump the highest, they just struggle. They get exposed athletically. And I don't think it's going to be any different from Reed Sheppard. I don't think he's athletic enough to be a star. And I don't think he's crafty enough to get around it. Even guys like Larry Bird, I honestly don't think Larry Bird would have been a great player in today's basketball. I just don't. He's not athletic enough. You put a guy like Draymond Green, I don't think back in the days in the 80s they had a guy that could move and they had guys that were athletic like Draymond and Kawhi. These guys athletically, they're just next level. They're just super quick and strong. And Larry Bird would have had a great time. Would have had a hard time. I'm sorry. I don't think Larry Bird would have dominated Draymond Green. He just wouldn't. And so I just think that what Americans don't pan out because of the lack of athleticism. And I think Reed Sheppard might be a good player, but he's just not a star. He's not going to be a star. So in sports, every business or every league is run differently. Everybody got their own model on how to run things. If you look at the NFL, the game sells itself. You don't need any star. You don't need anything extra. It's the most popular sports in America. People are going to watch it, whether it's Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes. People are always going to watch. When it comes to the NBA, it's a little bit of both. People are always going to watch, but to take it to the next level, you need stars. Stars got to bring in the extra. And then you got the international players who add in on top of what the Americans already do. And so it's a little bit of both. You need the stars, you also got the fans already. When it comes to UFC, it's slightly different. The UFC doesn't sell itself. You need people you need stars who are going to perform, who are going to basically entertain. And Dana White understands that. Contrary to the WNBA, they seems to be clueless on what's going on. Dana White understands that this is a company that thrives on entertainment. And he was really mad in the press conference because the UFC 304 that happened last Saturday, was pathetic. It started with this guy, Makai. Makai was fighting, I don't remember who he was fighting, but it got to in the press conference before the fight, they were about to get into it. They were about to fight. So I'm looking at them like, the main fight's already good. This is the undercard, and I'm excited. These guys don't like each other. I like drama. Drama's good for UFC. They get to the ring. Right when they get to the ring, before the fight even starts, these two guys, Makai and the other guy, they want to fight already. I'm even more excited. Oh, these guys really hate each other. They get in the ring, and it looked like it was a contest of who could go the longest without punching. These guys were pathetic. And this guy, Makai, at one point, took the other guy down and started pulling his shorts. That was weird. I think Buddy got horny on the ring. I don't know what that was. That was really weird. But overall, UFC 304 was a big event that honestly disappointed. Not a lot of fight. It was just pathetic. A lot of decision. But overall, most of the fights went how I thought they were going to go. Except that last fight. Leon Edwards versus Bilal. Bilal won by unanimous decision. Leon, that was pathetic. You're supposed to be the champ. Your girlfriend, your wife, or your partner, they should let you sleep in a room tonight. You got picked up by a grown man at home in front of your fans. You got picked up, bro. And he dropped you on the ground on your head. He almost suplexed you. You're 6'2", the guy is 5'10". You got a longer reach. This man walked you down. It looked like he didn't respect your power. He looked like you didn't even have hands. That's how he was chasing you. He was chasing you as if you were dating. He was doing his sister, and he was mad about it. I don't understand it. All that athleticism, all that size, and you were useless last night. That was pathetic. And then, honestly, the middleweight division is just getting worse. I feel bad for Dana White because the division is getting worse and worse. First, you had Usman as the champion. Usman is not, his personality is, he's boring. He doesn't entertain enough. And you gotta understand that in UFC, there's the casual fan. That's the fan that doesn't watch UFC that much. That's the fan that helps the UFC make money because there's more of them than the hardcore fan. The casual fan is a fan that doesn't watch UFC a lot. So when he comes to watch UFC, he wants to be entertained. He wants to see knockouts. He doesn't care about he doesn't want to see people getting taken down. Then there's a hardcore fan. And there's less casual fans than hardcore fans. Sorry, there's more casual fans than hardcore fans. And the hardcore fan is the fan that watches UFC, that understands the sweet science of fighting. So he appreciates defense. He appreciates takedowns. He appreciates technical fight. But if you want to become popular, you need to entertain the casual fan. And Usman was just boring. But at least Usman, when he got to the ring, he was a really good fighter. He gave us really good fights. Against Tyron Woodley, it was a really good fight. Against Kobe, those two fights were amazing, legendary. But as if things couldn't get worse, Leon became champion. And Dana White did not want Leon to become a champion. He was dragging his feet for a long time. I think Leon went 2 years without fighting at one point. And then he came back, beat Diaz. He almost lost. And so this guy is not that exciting to watch, to say the least. And Dana White gives him a chance. As if things couldn't get worse, he beats Usman. And Leon is worse than Usman in terms of personality. He's reserved, doesn't talk that much. When he's winning a fight, instead of going for the kill, he kind of coasts. And you need to entertain people, bro. If you want to be reserved, go be a monk. The UFC is not for you. And so he's not popular. And as if things couldn't get worse, now we got a cuddler as a champion. This dude Bilal got to the title by cuddling with people. He will get you on the ground, sit on you, cuddle. He wants to talk to you. He wants to read bedtime stories. Then why you gotta do something? We cannot have Bilal as a champion. We don't want to see people cuddling in the ring. That's not what we want to pay. Get this man out of there. Usman, that was pathetic. Sorry, Leon, that was pathetic. You lost to a slightly above average fighter. I was lost. With all that athleticism, all that strength, You lost to Bilal? These men almost suplexed you? The Bobby Green versus Patty fight was another weird fight. It wasn't weird because of the result. Patty was a favorite. Most of us thought Patty was going to win. And he did win. He won by submission in the first round. What was weird is how the win came about. Somebody got to investigate Bobby Green. Somebody please check that man's prize pick. Because I can guarantee you he bet against himself that night. He wanted to lose. I'm not an MMA fighter. Never fought MMA a day in my life. When that fight was announced, I knew his best chance to win was to keep the fight on his feet and not go to the ground. The analyst said the same thing. If I know it, the analyst knows it. His coaches know it. If his coaches know it, so he must be aware of it too. If you want to be Patty, your best chance is to try to stay on your feet and not go to the ground. This guy gets out there and he keeps the fight standing. He can't really find his range. Patty can't really find his range either. Patty is doing a lot of calf kick. Not much was happening. Bobby Green was probably not able to be as effective as he wanted. But Patty is the star. Patty is the guy that's supposed to push the pace. If nothing is happening, if it's boring, Patty has more pressure because Patty is the guy who's supposed to win the fight. Not only is he supposed to win, he's supposed to win in an entertaining way. So if nothing is happening in the fight, he should be the guy becoming desperate. But the opposite happened. Bobby Green got desperate and decided to shoot for a takedown. You trying to take down somebody who got 9 wins, choking people? Are you serious? You try to take down, knowing damn well that your best chance is keep the fight standing. You try to take down somebody who chokes people for a living. You're either dumb or you knew what you was doing because you were going to get paid through prize pick. Because that was pathetic and dumb. He tried to shoot for a pathetic takedown that he didn't even set up. He didn't even set up Patty. Patty was ready for it and cut him with a choke. And that was over. He got choked. And the fight was over. That was pathetic. And Patty is a star. The man's a star. He's the opposite of all the guys that I was talking about earlier. The Usman and the Leon. The man got the charisma. He got that British accent. He knows how to talk to the public. He knows how to talk to the fans. He's actually really cool. So I think he's a star. However, I don't see him becoming a champion. If he becomes a champion, he won't last long. The guy is just too goofy. He seems like he's one of those guys that just doesn't take things serious. He walks around at 200 pounds. He cuts his way down to 155 to fight in the lightweight division. That's just... He can get away with it now, fighting guys that he's supposed to beat. But when he starts fighting the top of the top guys, he's just not gonna be able to beat them. It's too much weight that you gotta cut. You're gonna be way too dehydrated. I think he's gonna get knocked out one of these days. He's really gonna get knocked out. I think when he starts fighting these 5-round fights, when he starts fighting for the title, and instead of fighting 3 rounds, he fights 5 rounds, I think he's gonna get exposed. I think he's a good fighter, but I don't see him becoming a champion. If he somehow becomes a champion, I don't see him lasting long. So the U.S. beat Serbia 110-86. It was an interesting game. It was basically a blowout. The U.S. just completely dominated. Did you guys see Jason Tatum dominate, fill up the stat sheet? He scored 20 Gatorades and 35 high fives. I heard he's the leading candidate to be the MVP, most valuable bench warmer at the Olympics. I got a theory on that though, guys. I got a good theory. I really think the NBA is struggling with ratings. They're struggling with ratings because the superstars are getting old. And so they're not going far in the playoff anymore. The Kevin Durant, the LeBron James. Now the best player is Jokic, a guy who wants to ride horses more than he wants to hoop. At least Denver is now more interesting because now we got Russell Westbrook. In the playoff, a lot of games are not competitive. I'm sure they did not like the way the Celtics just throttled the Mavs. That series was not even close. I think the Mavs only won that one game because the Celtics did not want to win that game away. They wanted to win at home. That's the only reason why the Mavs won. It was not even close. The NBA does not like that. It's already hard enough trying to find the star that's going to carry the league. They want competitive games, and they're not fans of teams that have multiple stars. And let's be honest, the Celtics are loaded. And the NBA doesn't like that. They don't want that to happen again next year. So I think the NBA is using Steve Kerr to create tension between Brown, Derek White, and Tatum. He left Brown, took Derek White, and decides to play Derek White over Tatum. It's either that or Steve Kerr just incompetent and needs to get fired. Because I don't understand the disrespect that this guy Tatum got last night. He's a first team All-NBA. And that man got a DNP? You treated that man as if he was Bronny James. DNP? This man averaged 27 points in the season, shooting 47%. Very efficient. He was first team All-NBA. So you want to tell me you could play Derek White 60 minutes and you couldn't find this man 10 minutes? It's not like you out there playing primetime Magic Johnson or Michael Jordan. You blowing these teams out and you couldn't find 10 minutes for Tatum? This is ultimate disrespect. If I'm Tatum, we need to have a talk. We're not having a talk on the plane. We need to have a talk right after the game. If I'm Tatum, I'm going in there. I'm telling Steve Kerr, get on Google and check my stats before we start this conversation. Go on Google and check my stats. Read that shit out loud. Then we can have a conversation. Because I've never seen this level of disrespect. DNP on the blowout game? The man couldn't even get garbage time? Oh no, we got to do something about that if I'm Tatum. Oh yeah, we got to have a conversation. Maybe it's time we start questioning Steve Kerr's coaching ability. I never thought I'd say this about a coach who won 4 NBA titles. But the NBA is about what have he done for me lately. And what has he done? Jack shit. I don't understand this decision. The Tatum decision is already weird as it is. That's literally having a team that's perfect and you're trying to kill the chemistry on purpose. As if that was already not bad enough, he keeps playing Embiid. So you play all these exhibition games, right? Because you want to tweak things, see what's working, what's not working. Those are games that don't count. So you try things that you normally wouldn't try. It doesn't take a genius to see that Embiid is not a good fit. He's worse than a cone. He's the logo. Non-existent. Can't move on defense. So you saw that and you decided that you're going to stick with him and keep playing him. And we all watched that Serbia game. The first 5 minutes was dominated by Serbia. They went on a 10-0 run. He called a timeout, takes out Embiid, and puts AD back in. Immediately, there was a change. Immediately, It was a tie game. Then the U.S. took the lead. So what does that tell you? I was thinking about this. I'm like, what is this guy's obsession with Embiid? He's just kind of Embiid fanboy? I just don't understand it. I was thinking about it. I'm like, what could be the reason why he wants to play Embiid so bad? Maybe Embiid is going to be a free agent next year, and he's trying to angle for some kind of Golden State move for Embiid. I looked at Embiid's contract. Well, he'll be a free agent in 2 years in 2026, and by then Steph is going to be like what, 38? Embiid is going to be 32, I think. So it's not a trade that makes sense. So that's not it. I can't understand why he keeps playing Embiid, other than he's just a terrible coach. The Jaylen Brown being left at home, that was already weird enough, honestly. But to not play Tatum, that's another decision that I just don't understand. It's not like Tatum is James Harden who's going to create issues. He doesn't have ego. We saw that in the playoff. He was struggling. Somebody else won final MVP. He was fine with it. It's not some guy that has this personality of being a cancer on a team, and if you don't play him, or if you play him and don't give him the ball, he's gonna create issues. No, he's not that guy. And so I'm looking at all this decision and the substitution against South Sudan that almost cost them a game. Look, the U.S. is unstoppable. They just are. The only way you could beat the U.S. before was with size or three-point shooting. You can't do that anymore because now they got Booker and Steph, deadly shooters. So it's really hard to outshoot them. You might outshoot them, but they're not going to go the whole game and not be able to hit like we've seen in the past. You can't beat them with size because now they got AD and Embiid. The only way the U.S. will lose is if they beat themselves. And it starts with Steve Kerr making this weird decision by sitting an NBA caliber of a player and not giving him a DMP as if he was Bronny James. So if the U.S. win, it's going to be because Steve Kerr made bad decision. He's already doing it. And if he doesn't change, then he's going to risk the U.S. not making it to the final. It's pathetic. So Tua is not the only quarterback who got paid this past weekend. Jordan Love is also another QB who got paid. He signed a 4-year contract with the Green Bay Packers for 4 years, $220 million. That gives him about $55 million a year. He got about $140 guaranteed. That makes him the second highest paid. And he got a lot more guaranteed money than a guy like Tua. Tua got about 93. He got about 140. And so what that deal indicated is that Green Bay is all in. They believe that's their guy. They have no doubts, and they went all in. Somebody more skeptical, more cautious would have chose to maybe franchise tag him. Because, I mean, he's only played one season, and you don't want to put in all that money in a guy where you only have 1 year of data. So that would have been justified. But I think they made the right decision here. I mean, when you franchise tag your quarterback, especially a quarterback who has a lot of upside, when you franchise tag him, you ruin the relationship. The relationship becomes sour. You basically telling the man, hey, we don't believe in you. So you might end up playing him later, maybe not. But the relationship won't be the same. And when you're playing in a division that's as tough as their division, when they got Chicago with Caleb Williams and all those weapons he got, they got Minnesota with Justin Jefferson, they got Detroit who is just loaded with Sam Brown, all those two backs that they have. I mean, they're loaded with talent. So you don't want to have to play with a quarterback who's unhappy. You don't want unnecessary distraction. You want a quarterback whose focus is ready to go. On top of the fact that they got receivers who are young that they don't have to pay yet. So you're paying your quarterback, but there's a lot of guys that you're going to have to pay that you haven't paid yet. So now is the time to win. So you need a quarterback who's focused and ready to go. They actually have a chance to win the division. They made it, to the semis last year? Who knows? They might get to the Super Bowl. And so you don't want to ruin that by franchise tagging him and making him unhappy. And let's be honest, I don't think they have anything to worry about. When you get a quarterback, he has 1 year under his back. But he's been sitting behind a really good quarterback for a long time in Aaron Rodgers. And not only that, he didn't have a great start. He had a slow start. And usually it's really scary when you have a guy that has a fast start and you don't get to see how he handles adversity. You don't get to see him in his lows because he's just been playing good since the beginning. With Love, it's a little different. He was not always playing good. You saw him in his lows. You saw how he progressed. At the beginning, the first 9 games, he was 3 for 6. He had 14 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. And then at the end, he got really hot. To me, that's a sign of a really good quarterback who went through the right progression. He was bad, he was improving, and he finally figured it out. And so you got to see him go through the adversity, and you saw how he handled it. He came out of it victorious. And that's a sign of a really, really good quarterback. So I think Green Bay made the right decision. I think this was smart. On top of the fact that, look, this team knows how to pick quarterbacks. I can't remember the last team that got 3 quarterbacks back to back that were really good. They got Brett Favre, then they got Rodgers, and then they got this kid. I mean, these guys, they know how to pick quarterbacks. So who are we to question them? So I think this was a smart decision. It's gonna be a really tough division, but I think that Green Bay is gonna win it. I think that Chicago is not who people think they are. I think they're gonna struggle a little bit. And quite honestly, Caleb Williams, I still got a lot of questions. It's really sad what we have done to sports in today's world. We have politicized sports. There's too much tension behind it, too much racial tension, if I may say. Black people want to support Angela Reed. They don't really want to support Caitlin Clark as much. White people want to hate on Angela Reed and they want to support Caitlin Clark. When in reality, sports is just entertainment. It's all about what have you done for me lately? What can you do on the field? What is your impact and what have you won? It's not that deep. And so when I tell people that athletic quarterbacks who cannot throw the ball consistently in the pocket and have to run a lot, they're not good quarterbacks. And it's very unfortunate that a lot of black quarterbacks fall under that category. So when I say that, black people get triggered. For the past 4 years, the media and all these black analysts want to convince me that Lamar Jackson is a top quarterback. He's not a top quarterback. Lamar Jackson is a punt returner pretending to be a quarterback. And the data shows it. Yeah, he's multiple time MVP. Okay, his first MVP was legit. He was really good. Part of the reason why he was really good because people didn't know him. He just took the league by surprise. Not a lot of tape. So it took time for people to get used to him. Last year's MVP, he only won MVP because his team was the best team. And that's the rule in the NFL. The MVP comes from usually the best team or the top 2 teams. And it's always the QB. So by default, it was going to be him. It's not like he had great numbers. It's not like his numbers were amazing. They weren't. He was 11th in touchdown? I don't understand it. Lamar has been playing for what, 5-6 years? The man hasn't had over a 4,000 yard season. It's sad and pathetic. Jordan Love did it. Baker Mayfield, we don't even think he's elite. He's done that before. Russell Wilson has done that. I just don't understand it. The man can't throw the ball. It's just pathetic. Lamar, last year's MVP, he was basically loaded. Forget the fact that he didn't have great numbers. His team was just loaded with talent. I mean, they had the top 5 best O-line. They had the best D-line in the league. They topped the league with 60 sacks. Basically, they were just harassing the other team's quarterback, and a lot of time, Lamar would get the ball back quick. So they had a lot of time possession. And they were dominant on the ground. They led the league with over 2,000 yards. And the team that came second had less than 261 yards than the Ravens. That's how dominant they were. So basically, they will harass the other team's quarterback and they kept the ball and they run it down your throat. So a lot of time, teams will have to flock a lot of number in the box. And so he had favorable matchups when he decided to throw the ball. It's not rocket science. That's the reason why it's good to have a good running game. Because when you have a good running game, then teams can't just back off and wait for you to pass it. So it's easier for teams to fool you when they can run the ball. It's harder to defend. And that's the situation that Lamar had to deal with all year. It's the perfect situation. Lamar basically works. For Lamar to be successful, he needs his equation. I call it the Lamar equation. The equation is a good running game, a good defense, time of possession, and he plays with the lead. When Lamar is playing with the lead and they can run the ball, he looks amazing. When you take that away, he looked like Jamarcus Russell. We saw that in the playoff last year against the Chiefs. He threw the ball in his end zone and it was 3 defenders versus 1 receiver. He looked pathetic last year. And this is not the first time that he has done that. Lamar cannot play with he can only play with the lead. The number shows it. The man has played over 60 games. He only has 8 comebacks. You know who else got 8 comebacks? Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray got about 20 games less than Lamar. You know who else has more comebacks than him? Geno Smith. And Geno Smith has less games than Lamar. You know who else got more comeback wins than him? Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota got 20 games less than Lamar. I'm sorry. Marcus Mariota got less games than Lamar. Carson Wentz got 20 games less than Lamar under his belt. And he got more wins than Lamar. The problem is, when you're playing football, you depend on a lot of people to do their job. You depend on the running back to run the ball right or to protect when needed to. You need the receiver to run the route correctly. You depend on the O-line to block for you. And you all have to be in sync. If you're not in sync, you get penalties. So you depend on a lot of people. The problem with Lamar is his equation cannot always work. These players are not perfect players. They're going to make mistakes. And you're going to have to overcome those mistakes. And that's the problem is Lamar cannot overcome mistakes. When his team plays perfect football, they're going to win. The problem is in a playoff or somewhere down the line, they're going to fall behind because of mistakes. And that's what's been happening in the playoff. They fall behind and he can't catch up because he He just can't throw the ball. He cannot read defenses correctly. When defenses know that he's going to throw the ball, he struggles. When defenses blitz him, he struggles. It's just what it is. He's not good. I'm not saying Lamar is a bad quarterback. I think he's a slightly above average quarterback, but I don't think he's who people say he is. I don't think he's elite. He's a Mazda, and people want to make us think that he's a Ferrari. Yeah, he's a Mazda. A Mazda is a solid car. It can get you from point A to point B. He can help you pull girls from Del Tacos, but it's not going to help you pull no baddies. You're not pulling a model on a Mazda. And that's what I'm trying to say. The media is trying to be politically correct. They have these agendas. He's not an elite quarterback. The playoff has clearly shown it. He's the only quarterback in the NFL to win multiple MVPs and not a single Super Bowl appearance. That should tell you a lot. This idea that you can win the Super Bowl with a defense and just run the ball, it just doesn't work anymore. Your quarterback needs to be able to throw the ball from the pocket. I don't care how fast you are. I don't care what kind of athlete you are. You need to throw the ball from the pocket in order to win. If you can't do that, you have limitation. And that's what Lamar has. Limitation. And the real problem is, like I talked about white Americans not being able to become stars in the NBA because of the lack of elite athleticism, it almost works the other way in the NFL at the quarterback position. At the quarterback position, a lot of black quarterbacks or a lot of athletic quarterbacks, because they're so athletic, they're able to get away with a lot in college without having to develop the skills that will make you a really good quarterback. They don't develop the pre-snap reads, the anticipation. Just imagine, you're fast like Lamar. You play at high school and college. Nobody can run with you. You can get away from any defender. They can't sack you. Why do you need to develop pre-snap reads? If you drop back, nobody's available, you take off. Nobody's open, you take off. Well, a guy like Tom Brady, a guy like Peyton Manning, they don't have that. So they need to be able to have pre-snap reads. They need to be able to read defenses good. Because if they get caught in a situation where they don't know what they're doing, they don't have the talent to make something out of nothing, like guys like Cam Newton and Lamar do. And so that's what's hindering black QBs in the NFL. They're good in the regular season. Jalen Hurts, all those guys, they're good in the regular season, but they have limitation. They're only good when there's an ideal situation. Jalen Hurts, 2 years ago, he was elite, right? He had a good defense, good offense, a lot of weapons. And last year, things weren't the same. What changed? He's not elite anymore. I keep telling guys, you gotta read the data. Stop putting feelings into debate. The data's all there. But I believe that black quarterbacks are evolving. I think that a lot of black quarterbacks are seeing what I'm seeing. Is that a lot of these quarterbacks who run a lot, can't throw in the pocket, they don't last and they don't win. So now you're having an evolution of black quarterbacks who are coming in, who are they can throw better in the pocket. Guys like Shador, you can see it in college already that he's a lot more comfortable throwing in the pocket than a lot of black quarterbacks. Guys like Caleb Williams, he can do all of it. He can throw on the outside, running left, running right. He can throw in the pocket. He can do it all. Even CJ Stroud. And so you see the evolution. But as far as Lamar, Jalen Hurts, Cam Newton, those guys are not winning anything. They're not good quarterbacks. You can say whatever you want. Lamar is never going to win a Super Bowl.
This has been The Guru. Unapologetic and unfiltered opinions on the hottest sports stories. breaking everything down from basketball and football to soccer and the UFC. And might we add, your host is always right. Just ask him. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on TikTok and Instagram. He's gonna stop talking for now. See you next time on The Guru.